So without further ado, please let's get started on our first presentation. Please join me in welcoming, I believe the first time on the Church Tech Talk series, Dr. Nosa Uwubamwen, who will be speaking on finding and curating Christ-centered media and resources for small groups. Dr. Nosa is a retired NHS hospital consultant following over 40 years of UK medical practice. That's amazing. He's a pastor at the New Covenant Church, Manchester, with over 20 years of experience in cell church planting and management. He's also the coordinator of the Cell Church Ministry and Leadership Training with the NCC UK. He's the Vice Chairman of Nigeria Praise UK. You are most welcome, Dr. Nosa. The floor is yours. Many thanks.
Thank you so much. I just want to congratulate the Techify team for this amazing meeting. It's quite a good, quite a very important initiative. When we started our cell group system in Manchester 21 years ago, we didn't have this sort of access to resources like this, so we are really grateful. And recently, we started engaging with the ERP in our church. So it's quite an amazing software. I believe it does answer a lot of the questions. And many cell leaders and cell coordinators will find very helpful. So the first thing I want to say that the purpose of this presentation, it really is for us to discuss how to equip cell leaders and cell members with the tools to show them how to find tools that will be very useful in managing their cell groups. The cell system, like our friend has already explained to us, is very important. If you look through the scriptures, you'll find that it is the system that was used by Jesus, the discipleship system. It's a small group system, and we also found that it all first started in Genesis 18 when Moses was advised by his father-in-law Jethro on how to manage God's people. So it's a very effective way, and in fact, to just explain that during the COVID period in our church, we engage with the cell system in a very technological way. To the extent at the end of COVID, our church had to split into three because we became too big. We actually expanded during COVID. You'll find that many churches that did not embrace technology and the resources like you provide, many of them did close down. So what you are doing is really, really very important. So obviously, we want to emphasize the importance of the Christ-centered content in the materials that we want to curate. And there are many materials out there. You have to be very careful that they are the right material. And the whole purpose of having a Christ-centered media and resources is to address the two key areas of a cell group system: the spiritual growth and the community building. Because the cell meeting is only for a few hours in a week, but cell life is for about 22 hours. So you do engage, you create a community of people, of God's people, during the week when you are not meeting. So it's any material that you try to curate has to assist in this process. And know that these are the 5 key values of a cell church. Universally, this will be everything, every meeting, everything you do has to be have Jesus at the center. Otherwise, it's just a social group. So we want to make sure that any material we curate reflect that. It is a community of care. So the resources will help us to really encourage the care within the community of God's people. Then everyone maturing in terms of your spirituality, over a period of time. Every time, everyone using their gifts, the gifts that God has given to reach others. And finally, making God known, i.e. evangelism. So what we want to do, every material we use, every resource we use in the sales system is geared towards making sure we achieve this value system. So what are the type of resources that we have to that we use, that we can use, that we need to curate? Of course, books. On top of the book is your Bible, of course. You need to curate the right Bibles. Make sure there are different type of Bibles out there. Some of them missing verses. So you need to make sure that as a media resource is the right one and the right fit, and make sure it's a good quality Bible. I mean, someone once gave me a Bible, and it was a Mormon Bible, and it was just not the right one that you would expect a born-again Christian to be reading. So it's very important that the Bible resources that we use. Then, of course, the Bible study devotions and all the books that address Christian living, that can be sourced within the church by the leadership. So we address that and make sure that the people, the congregation are using the right resources, and we can do that by recommendations. And of course, you can have video systems. Since YouTube became very popular, that has become a very, very important resource, media resource, both in terms of sermons, documentaries, teachings, and worship. So we want to make sure that we encourage and we guide the congregation to use the right resources, and to steer them away from resources that might not be that right. So, and of course, podcasts are now media resources. There are lots of Christian podcasts now that would address some of those core values, that will help you with evangelism, help you with teaching, help you developing your giftings. So, and we engage in discussions and interviews with Christian leaders. So those are some of the, you have to consider all that. Now, of course, you need to look at the demography of your church. If a church with a lot youth-based church who are very tech savvy, we very, very much find it easier to engage with all the materials you give to them if you go this way. Whereas the older people in the congregation might not be able to do that. They might be engaged more with the book resources. But then you have a growing number of people in our congregations now are not tech savvy, and they need to be engaged in this particular way. Yeah. And articles, insights on faith, theology, and practical living blogs are available on the internet. Again, we need to assess this, as coordinators, as pastors. We need to make sure that we steer people to the right resources. Of course, music and playlists and song recommendations. I mean, worship within the cell group can be quite vibrant, and we teach about worship within the cell group, and how to use worship as a way of discipleship within the cells. So we need to be aware of that. Now, I'm going to be showing you very briefly one of the resources that we source, because this is only a 10-minute presentation. I will not be able to go into detail about many things, but at the end, I want to quickly show you a resource that we use called Curating Media. So, of course, there are online platforms. And that's Curating Media is part of that. Now, how many of you are familiar with Curating Media? Has anybody? Just give me a shout.
Yes, I am.
Yes, okay, that's good. So we've embraced. It's a very a good resource that we find very useful. For those of you who are not familiar, I'm just going to show one, if I can find it. Right, okay. I might not be able to do that. Okay, but the Retina Media, basically, it uses a series of videos to teach the Bible and various resources, various aspects of the Bible. Okay, this is just is an example. For instance, we have a lot of people who sometimes find it very difficult either to read the Bible, but they will engage more with video resources. Right now, media, for instance, this is an example of. Let me take this out of the way. The book of Mark. This was actually demonstrated and videoed on the River Jordan in Israel. Let's just look at what it says.
Try to get your mind around this.
These are the
This
River
is the
Jordan.
gospel,
Okay.
the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Gospel means good news. It means the good news, but don't get this intertwined with all the other good news you have. Like, hey, good news, I'm getting married. Good news, I'm having a child. Good news, I got into this school. Good news, I got a new job. Oh, good news, God became flesh. No, this is gonna be on a completely different level. We're talking about something so sacred in the book of Mark. The creator of the universe loved us so much that he emptied himself of all of his glory. And he comes down to this, to pursue us. See, that's the good news. Man, it is so sad.
So, I just wanted to show that as an example of a media resource. But you can Google Retina Media and be able to find out what it does. So if I just carry on with the actual presentation. So let's take this out of the way. Okay. So we have the resources, video resources. We have, we can also, there are a lot of things from different websites. Let's look at that. We were here before. Okay, social media groups and forums. We use that a lot. A lot of our set group, for instance, now are not online based. In fact, one of the set group that we have here actually have membership from across the world. There's some people from Nigeria, some people from Canada came into the set just using the resources. The Zoom that we are using now, obviously has become such a very powerful weapon as a resource that we can use. And then when we match that up with the ERP system, with all that it provides, it just makes the management of the whole cell group system and discipleship very effective. So local churches and libraries are also sources where you can have different media sources. Then recommendation from leaders who, due to their own experience over the years, can suggest trusted materials that will be useful to the congregation. And then, of course, so you need to assess the needs of the congregation, the demographics, like I said before, of the society, of the congregation, and make sure that you source material that are appropriate to them. And of course, you need to remember those 5 core values. That is what you're trying to address. It's not just an entertainment system, it's system to fulfill a goal. Then creating a resource list. Within the church, you can create a resource list either by topics or by media type, either by whether through video or through software systems, or by age group. You can also provide access and links to various resources that you want the congregation to have access to. So crafting questions, you can craft questions. For instance, we use the Slido, for instance, as a resource, as a media resource for interactive session. People in question and answer in church. Once in a week, we have a question and answer session But before then, people put a lot of questions in Slido. And through Slido, we are able to answer the question, the leader is able to answer the question, and questions that cannot be answered in church, you can continue to interact. And that is very, very helpful as well. So we incorporate group activities that complement the resources, prayer sessions, creative expressions. So media has become so important in a cell group system. And if you could embrace it, it just brings alive. Like I always say, there is difference between a Bible study group and a cell group system. Is that a Bible study group it's like a monocolor system. It's just one way, but a cell group is technicolor. Everything you want to introduce that can make a cell vibrant can be introduced in a cell group, and that's what makes it so powerful in terms of discipleship. Being flexible and open to changing resources based on group dynamics is very important. So in conclusion, I'll just say that it's very important to have the resources media we choose to be Christ-centered, based on the teachings of Christ. Practical steps for finding and curating resources. You need to make sure that the leadership of the cell system organize the resources in such a way and guide people so that they don't get lost in the midst. I know we really want to I would encourage a lot of cell groups or churches to look at some of these resources. And of course, with ERP as a system that you can use to manage the whole process, it just it makes it very, very important and very helpful. So be proactive. That's what I would say in integrating new media. Don't wait to be left behind. Just be very proactive. The churches that were not proactive in using media and technology closed during COVID. But those who embraced it grew. So that's all I want to say. I really want to thank you for the opportunity. I know it's a short time. Try to rush through what I need to say, but then it's just a question of a taster. Thank you very much. God bless.